Greetings, dear viewers. Welcome to Diaspora Point. I'm your host, Auma Bella. Today, we have an absolutely fascinating guest. Her emphasis is agriculture. That's an amazing thing that really fascinates me myself, because we wouldn't be eating and staying alive if it wasn't for agriculture. And so our guest today is Jean Giro. Jean Giro is focusing on agriculture in so many ways and has made some great impacts on agriculture in Kenya. Introducing some, I don't want to say everything that she's going to say, but please welcome Miss Jean Giro. Karibu.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be on this platform.
Thank you.
And I'll share.
Yes, tell us everything about you that you feel like sharing with us, please. Thank you. Karibu sana.
Right. Thank you for having me. As you've said, my name is Jean Giro. I have been in the agriculture sector for many years, over 30 years actually.
Wow.
And it's that I like. I graduated from the University of Nairobi with Bachelor of Agriculture, Bachelor of Science in Agriculture. I did a master's in plant pathology in the same university. And plant pathology basically means plant diseases.
Yes.
I also hold another master's from Cornell University in the US.
Wow.
And it's master's in international agriculture and rural development.
Great. So you are all
I
agriculture.
have worked across.
You are all agriculture. If anybody scratches you, agriculture comes out. That's just a joke. Go ahead, please.
Sure. Yeah, I have had the opportunity to work across the sector. I've worked with the Ministry of Agriculture. I used to be the district crops officer in Kiambu district. Immediately I left college.
Wow.
I worked with the KARI, Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, which is today called KARO. KARO today means Kenya Agricultural Research, Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization. So I worked there as well. And I've worked with the private sector, Bayer East Africa, crop protection. I've worked also with Bell Industries, an agrochemical company also. And I've worked with a number of NGOs. Wow. So really, I've done my bit across the sector.
You really have. And tell us about your experience, especially in the US, where you were a Hubert Humphrey scholar, and then, being at Cornell and all that stuff that you did in the US. Tell us a bit about that, and then you will tell us about when you came back and all that you want to tell us. Thank you.
Yeah, so I went to the US in 2005 as a Hubert Humphrey Fellow. Hubert Humphrey is a US State Department program. They actually say it's one of the best programs of the State Department.
It's very prestigious,
and
by the way.
It's quite a prestigious program.
Yes.
And the program is on professional and leadership development. It takes you to a university for 10 months. You attend classes. You take courses that you would want to take for your professional development, such as project management, business management, leadership courses, and you are not required to take exams if you don't wish to.
Wow.
So it's a good, it's just gaining knowledge in kind of a relaxing manner, I would say. You are not under any pressure to take exams, although most of us did actually take exams.
Well, you're a Kenyan and you are competitive. You know, Kenyans have to take exams.
Yeah, part of the program is you are placed in an institution for 6 weeks just to gain experience. And in my case, I actually went to the World Bank in Washington for 6 weeks just to gain experience in their agriculture programs.
Wow. Which department?
So it was an exciting time.
Which department at the World Bank?
I was in the agriculture department.
Was it Africa region or another region?
Sorry?
Did they put you in Africa region or another region? Because sometimes they have agriculture department, but they would put you in different regions.
In Africa region.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So it was actually an exciting time in Washington.
Yes.
You know, like the World Bank offices, a few blocks from the White House.
Yes.
I remember we used to have to take our lunch in that park right opposite the
yes.
house. Yeah.
Yes.
So my experience being at Cornell University, it's one of the issues is the big difference between our universities and the universities out there. And as you know, Cornell is one of the Ivy League.
It's an Ivy League, I think. It's a top university.
It's actually a world of difference between our universities here and you find there. For instance, when I did my undergraduate at the Kabeta campus here, we had one library. At Cornell, they have 17 libraries and well-equipped, computers all over. Even in a waiting room, if you are going to an office or to a lecture, you find computers in the corridors. You don't waste time. You can just be checking whatever you want as you wait to get into an office.
Wow.
The differences are just amazing.
Absolutely.
So the research provided in those universities are also amazing.
Yes.
And I would say it was a good exposure. Yes. Sometimes we think what we normally see here is what is everywhere else. It's good to go out and get some exposure on what happens on the other side of
it opens your mind, and also I'm sure while in that environment you find that you have to make a lot of decisions yourself. Nobody decides for you, you know, when and how to do whatever. I would like to hear that too.
Oh yes, that's quite something else. I think, like just as an example, when we were looking for the organizations where to undertake our affiliation, you would expect your supervisor will help you to get an organization, and there are many organizations, but they don't. You have to make the decision yourself. Where do you want to go? What they could do is they could connect you to people they know in those institutions. Decision to ask where to go is you have to do research and all that. Yes.
And another great thing is that with Hubert Humphrey, you know, scholar, you have an array of contacts and networks that your advisor will easily connect you with without hesitation. Isn't that one of the advantages for that program?
Oh yes, oh yes. The advantages are many.
Yes.
First of all, in a university like that one, they bring the people to the university once a week. Almost every department has a seminar once a week.
Wow.
They'll bring experts from Washington, from all over, to come and talk to you. And after the seminar, you could always talk to the guest speakers,
Yes.
and you could tell them what you need. For instance, in Cornell, there is an institute. It's called Institute for Africa Development.
Yes.
And every Thursday up to today, they hold seminars, which today we can listen online because they still send us the links.
Yes.
But every Thursday afternoon, they bring people from all over, from Washington, from the World Bank, from development world, and you connect with those people.
And you can even ask for their contact for further communication, and they will give you how to reach them, right?
Oh yes, they are. It's like they are very keen to help. Actually,
yes.
When you ask.
Yes.
For instance, Cornell University, there are many professors working in the World Bank as economists.
Yes.
Actually, in World Bank in Washington, they call it the Cornell Mafia because there are so many professors of economics.
Yes, it's also called Harvard Mafia, Cornell Mafia, all those Ivy Leagues.
Yeah. So there are many things that are different from the way we do things here.
Yes.
I remember, like for us here, we like to chat.
Yes.
You go to an office. When you go to an office there, they don't allow you to chat. No. After you greet them, within a minute, they'll ask you, can I help you?
Yes.
What can I do for you? And I kept saying to them, for us, you can go to an office, you chat, and you even forget what brought you to the office. Yeah, sometimes that happens here. You forget what brought you to that office.
Yes.
The other thing that was kind of shocking to me is you went to class, a professor will come with a cup of tea, the mugs, the coffee mugs.
Coffee mug.
Come with it and on the table, and as he's lecturing, he's taking his coffee.
Yes.
I think here is quite strange. The students also. You go for a morning lecture and the student has come with their breakfast, eggs, bread, whatever, and they're eating as the professor is teaching.
Yeah.
I found that fun. The other thing, culture shock, was it hadn't occurred to me, or probably I knew, the African Americans.
Yes.
I didn't know they use, they don't have African names. Their names are.
Some have acquired African name in their, when they're grown up, but yeah, they just have American names.
They just have English names. And so, for instance, the person I was engaging before even going there,
yes,
she had a Mzungu name.
Yes.
English name. And so all along, I thought it was a white American I'm dealing with. Yeah, so I was saying before I went for the Hubert Humphrey program in 2005, I had been to the US actually 3 times.
Okay.
And this is because I worked for a USID program.
Yes.
Implemented by Lado Lakes.
Yes.
I actually started Lado Lakes here in Kenya.
I saw that in
I was
your
the
program.
first country coordinator.
The dairy.
And in the US, Land O'Lakes is known primarily for their butter.
Their butter, yes.
It's actually it's a large cooperative, farmers cooperative.
Okay.
And they produce a lot of dairy products from butter to cheese.
Yes.
I think they have over 300 products.
Yes, yes.
And so they have an international division.
Yes.
Which now does development work in various countries.
Yes.
And so in Kenya, I worked for Land O'Lakes. And so I went to
so many farmers in one place.
Oh, yes, so many farmers, so many companies showcasing their products.
Yes.
And all that.
Now, how long were you in the US when you went as a student? How long were you there?
When I went for the Hubert Humphrey?
Yes.
The Hubert Humphrey is actually 10 months.
Okay.
But I came back and then went back still to Cornell University for the master's program. So I from 2005 to 2009.
Okay.
For the master's and for the Humphrey program.
So 5 years or 4 years?
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
About 4 years.
So when you came
or
back,
slightly over 4 years.
When you came back, I would like to understand or to hear how it felt, coming back. What were some of the different things, the differences, the changes? Because you had to adjust. 5 years or 4 years is a long time, right?
Yeah, yes, actually, I think, as I mentioned, there is a way that things are done there.
Yes.
And somehow you change. You change. Some changes occur. And when you come back, for me, for instance, I found things so slow here.
Yes.
When you come back, you find that things move so slowly.
Yes.
And they told us when you go back, you may not know, but you'll have changed. And they actually said that we can communicate and tell them what changes we are experiencing.
Yes.
And for sure, I think, yeah, there was changes.
So
but again, some changes.
The speed of doing things and also the synchrony, the way of thinking and so on, right?
Yeah, and also time management to some extent.
Yes.
You're 5 minutes late for something, it's like you have to apologize. For us, we are 5 minutes late, doesn't, it's kind of accommodated.
No, you have to.
So yeah,
over there, you have to not only apologize but explain. They need to understand, why did you abuse their 5 minutes? They don't put it that way, but that's what it boils down
to. Sure, yeah.
Okay.
And somehow the exposure you get out there. I remember for me, if I went to a workshop, for instance, you know that stage fright you used to get, or you are panicking because you are making a presentation.
Yes.
I don't know whether it's because we made so many presentations out there, but
yes.
You gain that confidence. You talk anywhere, in any forum, without any problem.
Your second nature. It becomes your second nature.
Sure, yeah, it does. So yes, I came back after the master's program, and again I went to work in the private sector.
Yes.
And let me add here, when you go to a school like Cornell, I found that Americans, they really respect good schools.
Yes.
Kind of respect. And I'm saying this because I worked for a private sector company here in Kenya.
Yes.
And Purdue University had this project on post-harvest losses.
Yes.
They came to introduce that project here in Kenya.
Yes.
And I happened to meet them
Yes.
in a workshop that they had organized.
Yes.
And I liked the technology they were promoting.
Yes.
And I immediately told them that the company I worked for can actually distribute that technology, become their distributor here in Kenya.
Yes.
And immediately we started partnering with them.
Yes.
They gave us some funds to do training to farmers and the supply chain.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking that the reason they picked me so quickly is because I told them I was in Cornell. I don't know why.
Yes, absolutely. There's
Was that
prestige
fun.
there. There's prestige associated with Cornell. There is also a sense of trust, a sense of what do you call it? This Cornell is a university with a reputation, and so there was no reputation risk with you because you are from Cornell. So you would have the kind of reputation and the kind of understanding of a person they would want to work with. So that goes without saying, I think.
Yeah. I think I tended to notice that because as we discussed, the minute they heard I was in Cornell, it was like, okay, she can do it.
Yes, yes.
And so I negotiated this partnership between the company I was working for and Purdue University.
Yes.
And we got the contract.
Very good.
And and actually, I like to talk about this technology because it is quite an important technology.
Yes.
It is these bags for storage of grains.
Yes.
And they are in the market here in Kenya now, all over.
Okay.
And these bags, you can store your maize, you can store your beans or grains without using pesticides.
Oh, very good.
You don't have to, for storage of maize, people put a lot of pesticides to kill the weevils.
Yes,
but when you use these bags, you don't need any pesticides and nothing happens to your maize. They remain intact.
That would
I
solve
would have wished actually
yes.
Sure.
That would solve a problem of some of us who don't believe in using pesticide. I don't use pesticide, but I use the traditional ash to put on my grain. And I don't know how long the ash lasts, but to know that there is that kind of bag, that kind of gunia that you can use and don't worry about pesticides, and you will not get any pests, the weevils in your grain, that's great. I didn't know about it. Good to know.
Oh, I can even provide a link here you provide to your viewers
Yes, I will.
To watch how the bag is used.
Yes.
But the bags are all over the country now. I actually developed the supply chain here in Kenya.
Yes.
And as I worked for Bell Industries.
Yes.
But later on now, Purdue gave me the regional job to promote to develop the supply chain in the region.
Wonderful.
And so I was covering Ethiopia, Malawi, Tanzania, and Uganda.
Wow.
In Kenya, we had already introduced the bags.
That's wonderful.
And so that is the main job I did after I came back. Been developing now my own. I've always had interest in markets and information.
Yes.
I believe there is a lot of information that has been developed by researchers, the private sector, and NGOs. The information is out there in the library, it's not helping anyone.
Yeah.
So for a long time, I wanted to set up a platform where this information can be disseminated to agribusiness, to farmers, because they need it.
Yes.
And that's what I'm doing right now. I have a channel, a YouTube channel, where I talk about innovations in agriculture. I talk about information, let's say, related to agriculture.
That is
I've also
wonderful.
developed a digital marketplace
Yes.
where farmers can post their products. For instance, you could just say, I'm in Embu, I have 30 bags of maize.
Yes.
Or you could say, in the next 2 weeks, I'll be having 50 trays of eggs per week.
Wow.
You just post there, and the buyers, whether it's schools or hotels or aggregators, then they can get in touch with
Send me
you.
a link to that digital marketplace also so that I can share
Yeah.
it. I have a link to your YouTube channel, and that one I will share also in our comments area so that our viewers can benefit from that. That's really wonderful. So that's a great added value that you brought back to Kenya.
Yeah, so
Yes.
that's what I'm doing right now.
Thank you.
But the big challenge in agriculture is that up to today, we have to import things like maize. Farmers harvest about 15 bags, even in the high potential areas.
Oh, that's not good.
And I think, let me say it here on the platform, because researchers have said so. Our soils in high potential areas have become acidic because
Ah,
of the continuous use of fertilizers
yes,
and other factors.
yes,
And so we really need to address the issue of our soils.
yes,
You know, when we talk about soils, we talk about fertilizers,
yes.
but we are not talking about other aspects of our soil management,
I watched your
increasing
program on soil management. It's very enriching. I'll also put it on put a link.
yeah, because we really need to address our soils
Yes,
to bring them back to life, because they are exhausted.
yes,
We need organic matter, we need to increase water holding capacity and all that. That water is held there, and then it would get to the river
I get
during
it.
the dry season.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's amazing. I like to talk about the bamboo plant, the
Yes.
giant bamboo, because it's a very big industry in China.
Okay. Yes, it
Very big
is.
industry. And many years ago, we used to see bamboo growing by the rivers.
Okay.
Many years ago. And that is a project that can be undertaken to grow bamboo along our rivers.
Yes.
Number one, it will create employment.
Yes.
Bamboo grows very fast.
Yes.
Um, it can create a lot of industries. You saw this furniture from China and all the other parts made from bamboo.
Yes.
We are importing them while we could create our own industries here. So that's an
Yes.
opportunity, because I normally say, if you look at our big rivers, Tana River and the other river, Tana River covers a very, very huge distance.
Yes.
It covers very huge distance, all the way from Nyeri to Kirinyaga to
Yes.
Meru, up Meru, and then down to Garissa,
Yes.
Tana River district, all the way to the ocean.
Yes.
And I keep saying, if you planted bamboo both sides of the river, then that can create quite some big industry. It will stop soil erosion.
Yes.
So it will stop the silting of the electricity dams.
Yes.
And those are simple things. You know, we do very huge projects here, but those are simple projects that can create employment and industries.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the reeds and the bamboos are good, and grass, of course, to stop soil erosion, keep the water clean, and in case of the bamboo, even reed to some extent. But bamboo
Mm.
really is a job creator. Definitely, I see even our cutting boards are made of bamboos. Even furniture that we import are made of bamboos. A lot can be done with bamboos. I agree to your point.
They say it makes thousands of products.
Wow, it
Yeah,
does. Even
yeah.
toothpick, even toothpicks.
Even wine.
Okay.
I, Even the young shoots are eaten. I understand they are
Oh,
very nutritious,
what a
and
versatile plant.
even they are eaten by animals, goats
Yes,
and
yes,
other livestock.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
that thing I like to talk about. The other thing I like to talk about is um, canals.
yes.
You saw what happens during the floods. By the way, the other thing is that Babu can stop these floods. You know, like in April, around April, we had these floods that killed a lot of people.
Yes, and especially
Now,
around Kisumu here, it was terrible also, but elsewhere, landslides,
mm,
floods, all kinds of things.
so of the Yata Canal,
Yes.
Yata Canal was dug in 1952
Okay.
by prisoners from the Thika River, and then
Okay.
it goes to Ukambani. And that canal has really been very important to the people along it because they do a lot of horticulture
Okay.
using the canal, horticulture for export.
Okay.
And it has helped because it passes through a dry area in
Yes, yes,
Ukambani.
yes.
So it's been very important for the people along the canal.
Okay.
And the question is, that canal was dug in 1952, I think. What stops us from digging canals from Tana River to go to
Exactly.
Tana River district where
Yes.
people are very hungry, they are getting really food?
Yeah.
Why don't we dig canals from Tana River? Then
Yes.
it can take water to the people. Again, I like to say these are not rocket science
These
projects.
are very
It's
basic,
things that can.
very practical, very basic
Mm,
methods, sustainable methods.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we don't have to keep importing food or people going hungry.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe going back to the US,
Yes.
as I said, when I went for the Humphrey program, that was my third time there.
Yes.
My first time actually going to the US was transit. I was on transit.
Okay.
Um, I was going to Honduras. There's a project I was working for, and we were going to Honduras. Now,
Yes.
Honduras at the time didn't have an embassy in Kenya.
Yes.
I don't know whether they have now.
Not
And
sure.
so the closest you could process a visa was London.
Okay.
So we left here. We went with my colleagues, we went to London,
Yes.
stayed there for 3 days processing visa to go to Honduras.
Okay.
And going from London to uh, Honduras, you had to stay a night, to spend a night in US.
Okay.
And
Where? New
that's how
York
I
or
got
which city in US?
Houston,
Houston. Yes, yes.
Houston, Texas.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So we had to go there and spend the night. And so that was my first time going to the US.
Wow.
Um, and believe it or not, we had gone there to learn about green manures. You
Oh,
know how you can, I think I've done a video on that too.
I saw that. Green
And
manures, I saw that.
part of part of Honduras is very steep, a
Yes,
lot of hills.
yes,
And so, as I'm saying, there is problem of soil erosion.
yes,
So they plant green cover crops,
yes,
which they incorporate into the soil
yes,
to enrich their soils.
yes.
And even in Kenya here, there was a huge project on green manure by Kari.
Okay.
Uh, because when we talk of manure, most people think it's just the cow dung
I
manure.
know.
But you can use green manures as well to enrich your soil. You
And that
actually
include what?
plant
The beanstalk? What do those, the green manure, what does that include?
mainly legumes.
Yes.
Mainly legumes,
Yes.
but what happens is some of the legumes used as manures, you want a legume that produces a lot of forage
Okay.
because you are interested in the green matter.
Yes.
So there are those which produce a lot of forage.
But you know what I'm just
So
wondering. I'm hearing this from you, and of course I saw also in your video. Is there any concerted effort by the concerned authorities to do some kind of public awareness about this kind of, growing these legumes to help with soil erosion and things like that? Because soil erosion is a big problem, and we know that every year at a certain period during the rainy seasons we have terrible rains. People are suffering from mudslides and dying, really. And people are, they have to move because of floods. People get homeless. Is there, do you know, I'm just asking, you may not know, but do you know of any public awareness campaign? Because this requires a public awareness campaign.
Efforts are made, for sure. There are efforts being made. Probably not enough.
Yes.
A lot of research has been done
Yes.
on so many things. I was informed recently in an exhibition that you see there's a lot of water going as runoff.
Yes.
To the extent that when people sink boreholes, many people who are building houses, they want to sink a borehole.
Yes.
Sometimes within a very short radius.
Yes.
Within a certain radius.
Yeah, from the
And so
neighbors.
you find
Or boreholes.
people are running into trouble where boreholes now dry up because there isn't enough water.
Oh, okay.
The boreholes can dry up because so many people are sinking them. But someone was saying now there are people thinking, I don't know whether it's happening already,
Yes.
but they are thinking now of like reverse borehole, where you actually to correct the run of water to
Yes.
get it back to the ground. CARO, the Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, they have water harvesting techniques.
Okay.
If you go, for instance, to CARO here on Wayakiwe,
Yes.
they even have a demonstration on how to do like a small dam.
Okay.
For water harvesting the runoff.
Oh,
Which
okay.
then people can use for their crops, and they demonstrate that. But again, I don't know how many people go there.
Precisely.
But they have all that information. So as I'm saying, I think it's more effort to take the information out.
Yes, that's true. I totally agree. They should have a budget that would educate the ordinary mwananchi who is the beneficiary of knowing how to store those waters, how to utilize them, because without information, there's no implementation. All the research things will be sitting in the library somewhere,
Something else
Yes.
I need to say now that I'm on this platform.
Yes, yes.
When I came back from one of the things I brought back from the US
Yes.
is something called, this is a system for rice intensification.
Okay.
Did you get it?
Yes.
It's SRI in
Yes.
short.
Yes.
And if you Google SRI, you
Yes.
can see a lot about it.
Yes.
And SRI is a technique that improves yield. You can actually triple your rice yields. Not by a new technology, but just changing the practices you use in growing rice.
Okay.
And this technique was being promoted by a professor at Cornell University.
Okay.
He promoted the technique to many different countries.
Okay.
I will ask you if you Google, you'll see
I will check it
SRI.
out.
you just basically change the, like, rice. Most of our rice here is grown in a
Rice paddies.
flooded paddies.
Yes.
Yeah. Now you can reduce the water you use in those paddies by 50% if you use SRI.
Wow.
And water is becoming such a challenge,
Absolutely.
In fact, in our main growing area in Mwea,
Yeah.
you find that some farmers couldn't do the second crop because there is no enough water.
I would assume Mahero goes through the
So
same thing. Yes.
they were restricted to grow maybe one season because of the water. Of course, now there's the Vipa Dam, which has just been done.
Okay.
And so I believe it will improve this. But SRI cuts the water requirement by 50%.
Okay.
It also you use the seed rate, the seeds that you use to plant in an acre.
Yes.
And it is livable because you cut the seed rate by more than 80%.
Wow. I'm going to look for
Just
this
by,
SRI and I'm going to put a link
please.
on our, on the comment section of our YouTube.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when I came back, a professor at JQuat and myself
Yes.
went and introduced this system in Mwea.
Yes.
And two farmers were daring enough to start practicing SRI.
Yes.
And the other farmers were laughing at them, but they could double their yields or even triple.
So they gave
professor,
they gave a feedback to confirm that they can double, triple their yield.
So one of the things that comes as a shock to many people is that much as we produce a lot of rice in Mwea and Ahero and other places,
Yes.
as a country, we produce 20% of what we consume.
So we need to do
We
more.
actually import 80%.
We need to do 80%
So if
more.
if we can triple our yields by using SRI, then you bring down the import bill by far.
Wow. This is what this program is about. You have had, let me just summarize very quickly some of what you have said. Jean Jiru has just told us that in order to avoid these dirty, milky looking waters that we have in the rivers, we should make sure that we plant reed and even, reed or even, what is that thing, bamboo along our rivers as well as grass. Yes. And the government can help by supporting the farmers, making the farmers responsible all the way through to the riparian. So she has told us that planting bamboo and planting, planting reeds and grass along the river helps to make our waters clean. And that has helped the Hudson River, for example. And I believe this has also helped the Chesapeake Bay and many other rivers all over the world. Now we have to see if our government has or can make a policy to help the farmers plant these reeds and these bamboos and this grass along the riparian land that is just at the bottom of their property. Make them in charge, support them, give them some kind of help, financial help, and even informational help. Give them information. These are some of the things we have covered. A lot of things with Jean, a lot of issues with Jean today. Most important nuggets that I'm sure will help all of us. And so most of it is already very clear as she was speaking. And so, Jean, if you have anything that you want to tell us that is that we must know before you leave us, please go ahead.
Well, and now that you added on the bamboo, let me say a good example was set by the late Minister Michuki.
Yes.
We know near the museum, near the Globe Cinema in Nairobi, they reclaimed that area.
Yes.
It was literally a dump site.
Okay.
But they reclaimed it, they planted bamboo and that.
Okay.
And it is a beautiful park today. The
Wow.
question is, where Michuki left it is still where it is today.
Oh, nobody picked it
I
up.
don't know why we have. Sorry?
Nobody picked it up. Nobody picked it to continue
Yeah,
with it.
yeah. I don't know why all these years, more than 10, maybe almost 15 years later,
Yeah.
we haven't moved a step further.
But you know,
Yeah.
that question, I know it's rhetorical, but I also think that we need to adopt some of the methods that Western citizens use on their governments. A lot of times, okay, civil servants do work for us, we pay them with our taxes, but we have to remind them of priorities, because if we just leave them there to see what they should do, it's not good enough, and it's probably not even fair to them. We as the citizens have to organize ourselves and have to petition and even recommend things to the civil servants, are those who serve us in the government, to bring proper policies, proper enforcement procedures to help. I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's maybe sometimes we expect too much.
Yes.
From government. As you say, maybe we need a way of communicating. Yes. And raising the priorities that the government would focus on.
Yes.
Because I think it's very interesting that we still cannot grow our own food.
Imagine.
Yeah, that we have to spend our meager resources importing, from oranges to apples, animal feeds and all that.
That is very unfortunate, because if you can't feed yourself, even from the household level, there's a problem with that. I think every household, every ward, every county, there has to be a plan for self-sustainability in terms of food. I used to read a report. I can't quote it because I don't remember it. This is like a couple of decades ago, or even 3 decades ago, where some researchers were very clear about the fact that if every family were able to plant some food, even the little backyard plot that they have, nobody will starve. Nobody will go without food. No matter how bad that soil is, you can get some vegetables from it, or some potatoes from it, or something that will sustain the family while you probably buy other things. But primary feeding is within the households, within the wards, within the counties, and of course national as well. Every country has to feed itself.
There was the issue of relief food and all that.
Yes.
At the time, actually, I think they were debating about building the Kenya pipeline from
Yes.
Mombasa to the pipeline from Mombasa to Eldoret.
Yes.
And so the question was asked. There had been a suggestion many years ago by actually as early as probably 60s, because
Yes.
it was a steam engineer at the time
Yes.
who proposed that water can be pumped from Lake Victoria
Yes.
to Timboroa. You know where Timboroa is?
Is that
On your way
Eastern?
to Eldoret, between
Okay.
Nakuru and
Yes. I know where Timboroa is. Yes, I know.
yes. And it is said that Timboroa is the highest point in Kenya.
Yes.
The idea was you can pump water from Lake Victoria to Timboroa.
Yes, means you can
And
do it anywhere.
currently,
Yes.
from Timboroa, that water can go to any part of Kenya.
Yes.
Any part of Kenya by gravity.
You see?
That's what they said at the time.
And that is fresh
So
water.
that is fresh water you can use for irrigation, you can
Yes.
use for minutes.
Yes.
And so the question that was raised at Parliament, because there was a drought and people were dying of
Yes.
lack of food.
Yes.
So here we are, we can pump oil all the way from Mombasa
Yes.
to Kisumu or even to Eldoret.
Yes.
Why can't we pump water from Lake Victoria to Timboroa?
Yes.
A short distance, isn't it?
Yes. What was the answer?
Well, I believe there are many intrigues
There are
on a project like that,
complications. There's this colonial
including
agreement.
the use of Lake Victoria
Yes.
water and all
Yes.
that.
There's this.
But maybe it's something to think about.
Yes, it's something to think about. There's this colonial agreement that the British signed with Egypt that we can't touch the Lake Victoria water, and that is something that needs to be really, really worked on. Because what about us? I saw the tiff that went between Ethiopia and Egypt. Ethiopia went ahead and did its hydroelectric power. I think this is something that could be even a program unto itself. It's very important that we should use Lake Victoria. It's ours. But anyway, thank you, my dear. This is wonderful. You have left us with something to chew on, and you have given us so much information. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And we may do this again. We will do this again soon, sometime.
Sure.
Thank you. You take care.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you. So, our viewers,
okay,
we have a lot to digest from Jinjiru. Thank you. Please remember to give us a thumbs up. Please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. It's very informative. It's very useful. For example, Jean's, whatever Jean has quoted here, we are going to put links for you to benefit from, and share our program widely. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you. Bye. Kwaheri.